Hello everyone. It is January 14th, 2025, and this is episode 7 of this Treasure Insight Edition, and I'm joined, as always, by the management. How you doing?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm doing great. Now, this was the first week of going back into actual work, so I have less time than usual to be hunting for treasures. But this is my life now. I actually have an actual job. Unfortunately, running a treasure hunting podcast doesn't pay the bills, or enough of them.
Yet.
Yes, but we're still into it. It's been 2 months, 2 months since the book has been released now, so we're starting to get some time on our hands where people haven't found the boxes. And in the beginning, we thought people may find them within a few weeks, but it has been a few months. So, what do you think about that? It's been a while, right?
Yeah, so for the record, no boxes have been found yet. That'll be huge news when that happens, but it's not too late to start. People are still just getting their books. Feel free to jump in anytime. Nobody has any clue what they're doing.
And you're also not living off this podcast, correct? You have work to do.
Correct. I do have work to do, which my ADD absolutely wants to do nothing but treasure hunt, but I have to put the book away sometimes and do the job. So
Put food on the table, yeah. So this week we got a lot going on. We got to go through a big news of the week, the scandal involving the maps not being correct on the internet. We're going to have a guest tonight. We're going to have Diego on, who's going to talk about his boots on the ground experience, which I'm really excited to talk to Diego about because we have not talked to someone yet that's actually had that experience. So I'd love to learn about what he's done. Also, we're going to talk a little bit about Treasure Hunt Token because we've actually made a treasure hunt for listeners of this podcast. So if you go to www.treasurehunttoken.com and click on the play now in the top right, you get taken to an area where you can actually win real money. So we made a treasure hunt for this podcast, and there's a treasure hunt there called Treasure Hunt 103, TH 103, and it's going to ask for a secret code. The secret code is Inside Edition. Okay, and only listeners of the podcast will know that. There's actually $25 we've put up for the first treasure hunt, Treasure Hunt 103. And what you'll have to do is find the answer somewhere on the internet. Now, if you go to our main website, you'll see how you do some of these treasure hunts. And this particular one may only take you 10 seconds to figure out. It's a very, very easy one. But an easy $25 to go grab. Just use the code Inside Edition when it asks for a code. And when it asks for a solution, you just put in the solution you found for your treasure hunt.
I'm not part of the treasure hunt token crew, but I have done a couple of the hunts myself, and they're really fun and easy to do. So I highly suggest you check it out.
So it's been a big week this week. One of the big things is, well, let's get into it now. Let's talk about the news of the week.
For the news of the week, it is not good news, but I think it's important news. There has been intentional sabotage or misinformation where OpenStreetMaps is compromised by someone who is intentionally altering the maps to look like the book.
So what is OpenStreetMaps?
OpenStreetMaps is a wiki-style data center for map data where the users can update, change, make note of map data. Unfortunately, a lot of the big trail apps use OpenStreetMaps as their database. Therefore, a lot of them have been compromised by this naughty boy who has been going around and falsely changing the data records.
So to be clear, it sounds like the maps that are on these trail maps, people assume they're, government maps or something like that. And someone's gone on and changed the maps on there to look like, for example, the Appalachian Trail map in the book has a dotted line on it. So you're suggesting that someone's gone on and made the trail look like the dotted line for purposes, I don't know, just to mess with people?
Yeah, unfortunately, I think that there's somebody out there that this is their idea of fun, or they're a treasure hunter and they're trying to throw people off the scent of the right solve. But for now, a good source is the NPS has a official Appalachian Trail map, and it is interactive. for now, I think it's best that everybody go ahead and use that. We'll put the link in the show notes so you can have access to that really easily.
So it seems like some people would maybe have to start afresh from the solves that they had since they were basing maps that they were looking at from the book.
Yes, because this involves specifically the Little Rock Pond Trail is that where I think this was discovered, but also trails in North Carolina, Tennessee, and New York that have also been tied to the clues in the book.
So that Little Rock Pond Trail we were talking about a few weeks ago, is that does that not exist then?
The Little Rock Pond Trail is real. It's an actual trail that is off the Appalachian Trail that is in Green Mountain. However, if you look back at the history of OpenStreetMaps, the original shape of that does not match the trail that you see published on there now.
Can you imagine how difficult this is for John Collins Black not to say something? If I've made that and everyone's gone on this tangent on Little Rock Pond where it matches the book and he knows it's a fake trail, how do you not say something? I'm not saying
Oh,
suggesting he should have, but I'm saying how does he have the restraint not to say something?
no, I mean, I wouldn't, but I don't have much restraint to begin with. But I would imagine if it went too far onto it or something bad happened, that he would be like, look, this isn't cool that somebody did this.
So I'm really excited to talk to Diego. So I think we should just bring him in now and talk to him.
Absolutely. Let's go.
Diego, welcome to the show, Diego. How you doing?
Great. Thank you for the invite.
No, thank you. Thank you for coming
It's
on. And
very
so
exciting. I'm a listener. I'm trying to consume all things, treasure. There's treasure inside, so this is definitely on my list.
great. And one of the reasons we wanted to bring you on is number one, you've actually come up with what you think is a solve for not just one, but a couple of the boxes. But number two, you've taken the next step, which very few people have, and that's gone boots on the ground, gone out into nature trying to find the box itself. Have you looked for treasures before? Have you never been a treasure hunter? Did you hear about the book somewhere? How did this all get started?
So I just love hiking. I've been hiking for a long time. I got into rock climbing back in 2016, and I was doing that for a while. I still am. And a few years ago, I picked up skydiving, and so that's been part of my life. So there's a bit of an adventure that surrounds my hobbies, and I guess the algorithm put me in touch with this video introducing me to this treasure hunt. And since this is kind of a more of a slow period in my life, I have pregnant wife with the first baby, so we're being a little bit more chill with the hobbies I just mentioned. So this is great because hiking is something that I can still do, and this just made it more exciting. So when I saw that video, I immediately like shared with a bunch of people. I'm like, this is so cool because all my friends, I have a lot of friends that hike, uh, but I became more interested in the treasure aspect of it. So yeah, it's just become my life now. But yeah, fresh off of boots on the ground experience, which I just came back from one 3 hours ago. So
Wow. Wow.
this was a brand new recon mission for the Appalachian Trail, the Appalachian footpath, and that footpath is very important. Google Earth, it does not give you the view that you get from the boots on the ground experience. Like, for example, both the Past and the Future box and this Appalachian footpath box, there were, heavy wooded area as it appeared from Google Earth. But when you're on the ground, you're like, oh my God, we got target rich environment everywhere. That's like a phrase we've been using on it's a 80s Top Gun reference. But there seems to be a pattern with picking places that are really beautiful places, but they're overlooked because they're near other areas that get a lot more touristy attraction. And that seems to be the case for both of these boxes, that, at least for my solve, and no solve, disclaimer, no solve is 100% until somebody finds the box. So
I totally agree with what you're saying, though, about it being off the beaten path of somewhere normal. I just rewatched the original, like, promotional video. There is a part at the end where he says there are so many areas that are like unexplored in America and get out and go find them.
right, yes, exactly. I love seeing the boots on the ground experiences that people are having. Just even the picture, the waking up early, catching the sunrise, that stuff inspires me. Like, I'm sure John is very excited about seeing that as well if he's keeping tabs, because he's actually accomplishing something. He's getting people outside.
Let's stop and realize that this is not normal behavior, right?
No,
So, a few months ago, when you weren't doing this, did you ever think in a few months you're going to be searching for millions of dollars of treasure in the woods?
zero idea that would be the case.
So let's go back to the very beginning. You got the book, correct? You got one of the
I
first people that got the book?
I did get it before Thanksgiving, and that's all I did during Thanksgiving. I would take copies of, the word puzzle with a bunch of notes on it, and I'll take that to all the family stuff. People were very excited about it, and they're excited for me, but they're like, "Oh, that's cool."
I'm glad that your family is excited for you because all of my friends and family think I'm a huge nerd.
I think my family and friends, they're used to this type of behavior. Like, I have a group of friends that is into hiking. I have a group of friends that's into rock climbing, and now I have a whole other group of friends that's into skydiving. So each group sees this progression of crazy.
Well, I think hidden treasure takes it to another level. So I can imagine your family were maybe supportive, but thinking, what's the chance you're actually going to find hidden treasure?
Yeah. I'll quote my wife. She said, "All the things that you've surprised me with, I wouldn't be surprised if you find this thing."
That's
So
that's
that's
that's awesome. So you got the book. Which one were you focusing on first? Was it the past and future box?
I was looking at Appalachian Footpath, and then I immediately dismissed it because I just fell for some red herring. And then I'm like, okay, that's unreachable. Um, Let me look at the Ready Player One, inspired one, which is Past and Future, and that one just caught my attention. I love the word search. I love the idea that he incorporated Bitcoin because I've been a big Bitcoin guy. And I loved the movie, so that I'm like, okay, he's highly recommending this book. I've listened to it 3 times now. It's actually like the tradition now when we drive to our search area, we listen to the book again. And the second time, I definitely caught some additional things, and I've been public about this. I definitely use some of the methods of the solves in that book to help me with my own solve. And there's definitely a heavy level of inspiration that he took from those solves that he incorporated into this one.
But when you're looking through the book, was there a point at which you caught something, you had that aha moment where you thought, oh my God, I just found something that no one else has found?
I'll never forget. So the wife was cooking. It was like Sunday afternoon back in December, and as you get closer to the area, the clues should sort of compound. The excitement should compound as things make sense. It's sort of like putting together a jigsaw puzzle. Towards the end, you're like, okay, everything else is kind of easy to put together now because the remaining pieces are very it's visible where they fit, right? And then at one point, a particular piece that it's related to, three's a magic number. That's why I keep repeating that in the Discord, both Discords that are out there that are popular, the Kalazar one and the
Mysterious writings? Yep.
Mysterious Writings, yes. I keep repeating that. Three's a magic number, the song. Something related to that popped up in this area that I was looking at, and that was like the final piece. That was like smack in the middle of my face. That was it. That was the confidence I needed to drive out there.
You were looking at something that in your mind, no one else has seen. It's staring you right in the face, whether it's you were looking at a map or you were looking at the book itself. What
It
was the
was it,
feeling like when you saw that?
I listened to his interviews. If you understand the creator, you might be able to understand his creation a little bit better. So I listened to a lot of his interview, and one in particular, it was some history podcast, and he mentioned that they asked about like, did you leave something out there, something that, as a sort of a hint that the people are going in the right direction, and he said no, but he did say nothing except natural landmarks. He said something to that effect, and that came to mind when I found this particular landmark that it's, I'll just say it's saved. It's a sort of a historical landmark. I literally got up from my chair and like called my wife over to look at this. She's been there every step of the way, kind of confirming or calling me crazy, and then I showed it to my search partner on, the next day, and he was like, this is crazy. But then the hard work begins, right? The hard work of like a final solve. So I break it down into a regional solve, you have like a state solve, and then the proximity, the precision gets a little bit more tight. And the final solves is a little tougher, and it just requires boots on the ground. Like you come up with theories, they sound great, they look great. The area itself you're confident with, but he didn't make it easy.
Right, right. So
Yeah.
we're talking about two different boxes here, which you have solves on for both, the past and future box and the Appalachian Trail box, correct?
Yes.
The purpose of this discussion is not to draw out clues from you and try and figure out where you went. I would really like to know what it felt like to go from a solve to boots on the ground, going out there, because I haven't done that myself. So when you were on the past and future box, you said you found something there that made you stand up in your chair.
Yes.
Is that the point where you thought immediately, I have to go out and look for this?
That was the point at which I had to sort of switch gear to, because once you have a location, then you're at the different level. Think of it like a game, right? And the past and future is it is a game. You're at a different level, so now you have to work out a different level of precision. How do you break down these clues into an actionable search area, an actionable path? Like, this is my plan when I go there. And, you work out as good of a solve as you can for the boot in the ground. And then you just go there and experience. And things are going to look different. Like, because you think a forest just looks like a bunch of trees on Google Maps. But no, there's cave structures, there's overhangs, there's rocks everywhere. The
Yeah, I
water
think
looks different.
so. For the past and future box chapter, really, for me, there's three sections. There's the text at the beginning, talking about Bitcoin quite a bit. And then the one Ready Player One section. Then you've got the word search. Then you've got the cryptogram, which is the unintelligible letters that translate into we think from strong to stream, etc., etc. Did you take something from each of those three sections to get your solve?
Yes. So the chapter text, the title, the cryptogram, the word search, those all played into a final solve. The cryptogram itself, it was sort of a search criteria. So it
So,
had to match the some of the things that talked about in the cryptogram, right? Some of the things that people have translated to, like from strong to stream, like a waterfall, or or a dam or something like that, right? If you're in the middle of a desert, if that's where your solve took you, to the middle of the desert, it's not it's not the right place.
so let's take us through that. So the boots on the ground experience. You decided I'm going to go crazy, go out there, try and look for this thing. Got the wife's permission, right? Your search partner, he got all the
Yes.
permissions he needed. You headed out, and then what time of day did you get there? Did you get there late and have to wait till the next day?
The only possibility was like go straight to sleep, wake up before the sunrise, and be on the ground as the sun is coming up, so that we get most amount of daylight, right? And this is, we're talking winter, so we don't get enough to begin with. And then you would just, you know, hike, get back in the car, go to the next area, and just to get a lay of the land. And then while you're on the ground, you just work. We have to keep constantly reminding ourselves that, a moderately fit person, can they do this? So we have to kind of pull ourselves back oftentimes, because we're like, okay, this is getting too dangerous, too sketchy. Let's back off. Let's, continue on this more moderate section.
Cheers to having such a supportive wife. So she's out there hiking these 12-mile hikes with you, and she's about halfway into her pregnancy right now.
That would be very impressive. But as much as she loves to hike with me, and we've done hikes all over the place, and we've been out to Colorado and done hikes there, she is She is chilling. My partner is actually, another person,
Your search
somebody that,
partner, different
yeah,
from
my
your
search
like,
partner.
Ah,
right.
Sorry, that would
Yes.
that would be amazing. Not that she didn't get the invite, but she had other plans.
So a 12-mile hike, long, long hike, right? So you've been driving for how long? 10 hours, 12 hours. Then you're doing a 12-mile hike. Towards the end of that day, you must be exhausted.
I ate two dinners at the same time, and then I crashed.
Towards the end of the day, was it getting frustrating? Was the tiredness actually impacting that as well?
So there's one particular waterfall that we cursed John up and down this waterfall because it was an old trail that was not maintained anymore. So we get to this waterfall and it's this dry thing. It's terrible. But I'm like, man, this would have been a great place. But we had to rule it out because I'm like, this is perfect. Over under in between. I'm like, ah,
So at any
bad
point,
excuse for a waterfall.
yeah. Shame on Google.
what was the lowest point through all this? When did you feel really low?
That waterfall, man, that was brutal. We had to rule it out, and we're like, this is this. Oh man, the blazes were like very faded. It was just like you could tell it hadn't. This is not a thing anymore. And, but we're like, we gotta rule it out, and we did. But man, that was annoying.
As much as John Collins Black says that this hunt is about finding joy, I think it's also a little bit joyful for him when he hears that type of story. And then he's like, haha, yes, I've had those moments as well.
That's one thing we talked about afterwards. We're like, we hope John also came here, and maybe someday he's like, whoever finds this box is like, did you go to the waterfall too? That sucked, didn't it?
I think to be honest, I think you're doing a great job. To me, the exact sort of person that I think John has in mind. Someone who really wants to be outdoors, enjoys it, plans ahead, has a plan for what they're doing. I think you're the right person to find this. I really do hope you find it.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that.
Diego, y'all, you heard it here first.
So at any point did you catch yourself when you're walking out there thinking, I cannot believe I'm out here actually looking for this? I mean, I guess you do a lot of hiking and wilderness discovery anyway. Did you ever catch yourself and think, I can't believe I'm actually doing this?
I think that was the drive. The drive there, that's going through your head, and we're like, it's crazy what we're doing. But no matter what happens, 30 years from now, we're gonna be talking about this. In a we're going to be retelling our stories of boots on the ground, whether or not we found the box. If you find it, it's obviously way more exciting. But even if you didn't, it's been a great journey. I've had lots of laughs.
So how many times have you pictured having that treasure box in your hands?
I try to visualize it just so that I can spot it more easily. So a lot.
And we were talking on the show about like how would it physically actually be hidden to withstand the elements, etc.
Going into our second day, we knew what the structures of this particular area was. So we knew what to look for. And we found our solve, which involved the 11 and 12, which doesn't get a lot of use in the word search, but it was like it fits so well with this final solve, and it gave us a nice tight location that there was a, target rich environment. And we get there and our excitement's through the roof. Like my boss, who's my search partner, excuse me, he predicted this sort of rock pattern. He was like, it's gonna be a cave. You're gonna look up. You're gonna go inside. You're gonna look up. There's gonna be a shelf, and in between that shelf, you know, it's gonna be the box.
Oh my
And
goodness.
we literally ran into a cave like that. But it was remote enough that I only saw, animals. So I'm like, I'm a little scared to peek. And then I peek over the shelf, huge pockets that you could put the box there, and it would, it would be well hidden even if you went in there and just looked up. You would have to stand up and look down. And it was just beautiful, beautiful cave structure, but no box.
So you realize you're Indiana Jones in that moment, correct? You're in the cave looking for a treasure.
Oh,
Isn't
and you got to stick your hand through the centipede hole, and it's so squiggly
that's
and
what I was thinking.
gross. Ugh.
But I was thinking if I was boots on the ground, I have this suspicion that I said on the show as well that maybe it's hidden like within a fake rock or something. But that still speaks to what kind of strategy you would have when you're on boots on the ground. So when you're on boots on the ground, how are you actually looking for the box? Are you just lifting up rocks? Are you inspecting the rocks? Are you kind of feeling the rock? I mean, there's so many rocks out there, right? You can't look
There,
at every single rock.
the most exciting part about that was shortly before that, when we looked up from this trail that was our final solve, and we looked up at the direction we were supposed to look up, we see this wall of target-rich environments. Just in this forest-like park, you get this wall of things you could not see in Google Maps, and so much potential. And then you're going up to it, and the excitement is building, and then as much as you get a little let down by it not being there, there's other places that you haven't checked yet, so you got to go to those.
So it sounds like to me that your experience is that there's a lot of places where you can hide this thing.
Yes, for both our solves, there's certainly a lot of areas that you can hide it, and you can even somewhat keep it safe from the elements, so it just doesn't get buried over time, by dirt and like, runoff or something like that. Also, what we keep in mind when we're searching, we kind of again put ourselves in his shoes. How does this area look like if it's a busy season? It's not winter, right? It's busier, and this is a high traffic area. It probably won't be easy to place it anywhere near this particular area. So he might have gone this particular trail and taken, gone to this particular cliff. That sort of thinking goes into sort of planning for, potentials for final solves. We have this sort of theory where I don't think it's just going to be in the middle of the field under a brush or something. It's just a theory. It might well be right now, especially for PF. We're looking for these rock structures. We're looking for things where you can hide behind a rock, or maybe there's two rocks together, and then in between those, you got, the box can be safely sort of stored away from anybody going off trail or anybody just looking up and seeing a shiny object, on top of a rock or something like that.
You did mention that your boss is your hunting partner briefly, and I'm just curious because as Chaz was saying, the way that you process and you think about the treasure, it's absolutely the type of person that is actually going to find it. So I was just wondering if you can vaguely allude to what you do for work.
Computer stuff.
Okay.
Yeah,
I also do computer stuff.
yeah, programming. So
Okay.
yeah,
Has that aided you in your ability to solve this?
it helps with the Excel stuff. Most of the stuff I actually use is simple. Simple enough that if you have zero clue how to work Excel, you know, you can figure out by either doing it manually, like literally, counting on your fingers the alphabet and shifting things, or visually by writing it down, or just simply, doing a quick Google and it will give you a formula for how to, set that up on Excel.
So ultimately, what do you want people to know about this hunt or what it feels like to do?
Ultimately, the message I want to leave people with is just to have fun, be safe, have fun.
Where do we go from here for you and your hunting? I was expecting to talk to you that you would say like we got really down, we thought, oh, we don't know if we want to keep going because we're so tired and looking for it. It doesn't sound like you really reached that point at all yet. It sounds like you're still full steam ahead to try and
There
find the boxes.
there are still places to rule out. There's we barely scratched the surface with today with a small area, but it took so long to get to the actual location because of the conditions, and there's still more to work out. And the boots on the ground experience, if we went out there and it was just like trees, heavy bush, and no places to really hide, it wasn't like exciting, then it would have been a completely different story. But the fact that we have this solve for this location, and we get there and it kind of matches what we would perceive the location to be, that's just a huge confidence booster.
Well, I am on Team Diego. I'm really hoping you find these treasure boxes. Again, I think you're doing a great job. Thanks very much for coming on and sharing your experience. I hope you come back sometime too and
Well,
update us on how it's going.
well, thanks again for the invite, and hopefully I'll have more to share. As time goes on, you want to share more, but for now, I'll keep it to myself a bit.
That's great. Thanks for coming on, Diego.
Thanks a lot.
Well, that was good. That was good talking to Diego, don't you think?
Oh yeah, he's what a great guy and super supportive wife to be letting him do this as his last hurrah before they bring baby number one into the world.
Yeah, I thought he had a lot of just the way he was thinking about it, I think was awesome. He's got the puzzle solving, he's got the boots of the ground experience of hiking. I think if you got draft picks for who's going to get this thing, Diego is currently my number one draft pick to find at least one of the boxes.
Hashtag Team Diego for sure. He can have the past and future box, but I hope he finds that one. But he better stay away from the Appalachian Trail box. That one's mine.
Yeah, well, you got some competition to go get it, but it's been
There's
a
a
big.
couple of people looking for it.
That's right. Well, it's been a big show this week. It was great to talk to Diego. Let's have another week of looking for treasures, whether it's searching for it on the internet, getting the maps right, or the people going boots on the ground. If you do want to speak to us or come on the show or ask us questions, check the show notes. Also, email us at treasurehunttokenofficial@gmail.com. Oh, and don't forget, please review the show. Give us a thumbs up, give us a 5-star review. And that allows us to keep going with the show. And we will speak to you next week. Bye.
Bye, everyone. Thanks. And we'll see you next week.